We continue our reading of Lest We Forget, a daily devotional by author George R. Knight. Today's reading, December 2, Disaster and Disorientation. In my distress I called upon the Lord. To my God I called. From his temple he heard my voice, and my cry came to his ears. 2 Samuel 22:7. Adventism felt much distress during the first years of the 20th century, and in the midst of distress there was much calling upon God. The center began with the massive, world-famous Battle Creek Sanitarium burning to the ground on February 18, 1902. That was bad enough, but a second fire on December 30 destroyed the Review and Herald Publishing building and the General Conference offices. The question was whether to rebuild in Battle Creek or move the denomination's institutions elsewhere. Dr. Kellogg, for his part, determined to reconstruct the sanitarium bigger and better than ever, despite the fact that the church leaders opposed such an extravagant move at a time when the denomination verged on bankruptcy because of overly rapid expansion in mission fields around the world. Money and the question of who was in control would soon divide Daniels and Kellogg in what became a struggle to the finish. But money and power weren't the only issues to separate them. The doctor by this time also had theological aberrations related to pantheism, a view that made God a force within rather than above nature. Thus Kellogg could write in his living temple that there is present in the tree a power which creates and maintains it, a tree maker in the tree, a flower maker in the flower. Kellogg was not alone in his pantheistic perspective. E.J. Wagner of 1888 prominence taught at the 1897 General Conference session that Christ appeared as a tree or as grass, and at the 1899 session Wagner proclaimed that a man may get righteousness in bathing when he knows where the water comes from. The struggle between Kellogg and his colleagues with the Daniels faction lasted for several years. Ellen White tried for some time to bring peace, but by 1903 she increasingly sided in public and in her writings with Daniels. Finally, Kellogg left the Adventist Church, being disfellowshipped from the Battle Creek congregation in 1907, and taking with him A.T. Jones, E.J. Wagner, and others. Times of trouble have always come to God's people. The question for each of us is where to place our focus during such times. Our only safety is Jesus and his principles. This concludes our reading today of Lest We Forget.